Hello, everybody. Welcome back to what I think I'm going to be calling Crafts and Covens. I originally had it titled Crafts and Covens, like semicolon, a stitch along podcast because I thought I would actively be crafting while talking. And I realized, holy shit, that's really hard to do. And like on camera, in frame, especially when lots of my crafts are like on a sewing machine and sewing machines are loud and that doesn't really make sense for podcasting. And I'm not a knitter, so I don't really have anything like really repetitive and small that I can do while I'm talking. But when I do, I want to bring it into the video. I do have my cross stitch project, but that's really hard. I can't focus on two things at once. I really can't. I want to, but that's not where we're at right now. Maybe it's a skill level thing. Maybe it's a maybe we will as I get like more confident and comfortable in the podcasting format, but for right now, that feels like a lot. So if you're watching the video, it's going to be me. I'm thinking of doing, and let me know in the comments if this is something that sounds interesting, for crafts that I cannot do like live as I'm talking, or if I just don't have the focus that day because my brain's short circuiting. I was thinking about just having like two videos, like me talking on one side and then me crafting on another. So you still get to see some type of process while I'm talking on the YouTube page. So, YouTube page, YouTube channel. I sound like a boomer. Fun. Okay. Let me know if that sounds fun. That's my idea. That's my like I don't know, it just feels like something unique that I can do for this channel and this podcast. But also, if it's like not that interesting, then that's a lot of work that I wouldn't have to do. But you get where I'm going here. Hi, welcome. Happy Sunday for me. Probably not Sunday for you, but if it is, happy Sunday. It's my cleaning day. I like woke up very I didn't mean to, but I like woke up at 8:30. Very respectable weekend time. I don't like sleeping in too late for me personally because I just feel like I get really sluggish if I do. Um yeah, it's sheets washing day and we're going through a heat wave, so I got to dry them outside, which like thank God. We need to wash them. We've been to the beach a lot this week because it's been heat wave after heat wave after heat wave, but like this last week, and it's October. Like I don't know what's going on. But yeah, we've had to like go swimming a lot with my dog to exercise her. Because I can't just like be walking her on hot pavement. I need to take her swimming to get her tired because I have this, high energy, high drive dog. If you don't know, my dog's name is Annie, Annie Malie, and I got the like doggy DNA testing kit like when we got her 'cause she's a rescue. Because I'm annoying, I needed to know. Like I just need to know what she was. She is half golden retriever, and then the other four parts are pretty even of German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, Aussie Cattle Dog, and Border Collie. So like very high energy working breeds. Excuse me. Um, so we really, really have to like exercise her every day, even through this heat wave. So I either go like really early in the morning to walk her, or we're going swimming a lot. So we went down to the river the other day and that was fun. But we went to the beach yesterday for hours and we had like a really good time and it was lovely, of course. But now our bed is full of sand. So it's cleaning day. Also, it just feels like a good reset. Like I get it. I didn't really grow up with a strict Sunday cleaning routine. I grew up mainly with a single dad, so I didn't have that like I don't know if it's like a feminine or motherly instinct to just be like, we need to reset for the week. So I didn't grow up with that. But as I have designed my own household, the mundane rituals of it all is actually quite nice and feels refreshing. Good energy refresh. If you start thinking about your mundane chores as like ritual or as practice or as witchcraft in just little ways, gets a lot better. It really does. And it also just like everything feels a little bit more intentional and like magical. And that's lovely. And speaking of, it was just the first of the month a few days ago. So blow a little cinnamon out the door, clean the kitchen, bring in abundance, bring in money. And what's really been coming through for me lately is because I do work a full time job. Um, just this like commitment to some type of side hustle or like side business or whatever crafting thing I'm like trying to start here, like that has so like been channel like I don't have control over it anymore. Like this isn't about me because I've been quilting and like I've been creating like my quilt Instagram and sewing Instagram Blown Rose Studio for, oh God, probably like a year now. And just I haven't really like posted super consistently. It was more just in lieu of like a website, like a way to document because I give a lot of my quilts away or sell them or like, they're not all in my possession anymore. And also it is a wearable, usable piece of art, so it does deteriorate. Or like, like your crisp ironed pictures of like when it's, first made is not gonna be what you're looking at 10 years down the line, which is beautiful. And I think there is something beautiful about having usable art and like stuff that really means something and gets used every day. But anyway, it's not something you just like hang on your wall. It's not like a painting you hang on your wall and then it looks the same forever. So quilting and textile art specifically, especially usable wearable art, I feel like is really important to document as soon as it's made and as soon as it is at a finished state. Um, so that's why I created my Instagram, because I realized I had been giving away quilts for presents, or I like didn't have any pictures of the stuff I've made, and quilts take so long. They're like months. Sometimes I'm surpassing a year on this quilt that I've been working on. Obviously not like 8 hours a day every day, but like very long-term projects. So it was really sad not to have any pictures of anything that I've made. And when people would ask me what my hobby is, I'm like, I can't really show you anything really except for like the clothes that I'm wearing. Like I didn't make like what I'm wearing now in the video, but I do wear clothes that I've made often. So that was kind of my only, I guess, claim to fame or proof of anything. So I didn't really start out with any sort of commitment or expectation on Blown Rose Studio. And in the past couple months, it's just become really clear to me that like I want to start posting consistently. I want to grow a community there, as cheesy as that might sound. I do want to have, I guess, like what I want to see, I am not seeing, so I want to create it myself. Right? And like I spoke about this in the last episode, but like alternative crafting community, a safe place for like younger women to find like refuge in crafting and working with their hands, because that's really what sewing has been for me and quilting has been for me. It hasn't just been like a hobby or something to pass the time. It's like truly been a spiritual refuge and practice. And it is one of the ways that I recharge. It's one of the ways I like regulate my emotions and my stress levels. It means a lot. And I think that as a society, it's not valued enough. So I guess that's like people who believe that and find that or want to start a practice like that. Like this is your space. And it doesn't, I think, as just someone who grew up alternative pretty much since the moment I was kicked out of the womb, I I never felt like I had a space in like calmer spaces. Crafting online is shown to be like very like calm and serene, and it can be. I'm not saying it's not, but also crafting sometimes looks like me listening to like and just like crazy fast, high BPM like drum and bass and like fucking frying out and like ADHD squirrel brain going insane. Like that is also what crafting is to me. So, and I never see it depicted as that. And I also think that has a place and a purpose. Anyway, I've had this really strong energy, which again, I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm grateful for it to start posting more consistently on my Instagram and to start this podcast and to like make an email and make an Etsy and post my first quilt for sale, which is terrifying. Um, I have been sewing since I was 3 years old on a machine. My tutu, my grandma taught me when I was very young. And I've always made like clothes for my dolls or clothes for myself or Halloween costumes or like I've always been sewing. Like I've always had a project going on all the time. And I don't know how. I mean, you don't have to monetize everything, obviously, but like this does feel like something that is calling me right now, so I'm going to follow it. Simple as that. So, really grateful for that energy that came through and it is coming through and the commitment to do this podcast. Not that I have like a certain number of episodes or anything I'm trying to hit, but it is hard to fit something new in your life. Like I am a busy person. I live in a very small space with two other beings. I have my dog and my partner, and it's really hard to get them like they're out. I like just as a dog mom, I'm like they're out on a W, like as if she's home. They're out on a walk right now. Thank God, because it's gonna get really hot later, so they had to go now anyway. But like it really had to intentionally create the space to be like, I need you to take the dog and go. The washer can't be running, the pump can't be running for the water because we live in a zone where we are pumping water from an aquifer. A well. We have a well. We have a well system. There we go. That's the now I'm clapping on pod. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm doing so many podcast no-nos, but we're learning as we're going. And sometimes you just have to do things imperfectly. So that's what this feels like right now. Like I'm trying to do it to the best quality that I can. And still, it's imperfect because I'm learning. And maybe that's okay. But as I was saying, like it's just hard to create time and space to film and to record without all of these distractions. Like you never think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, I could set aside 45 minutes a week to do this. But when you really think about it, there's lighting involved. Like I don't have all these lighting things. There is a cardboard chewy box taped to the outside of my window right now to like stop the light from coming in because it was so washed out and it looks so bad on the video. And I'm borrowing my boyfriend's mic setup from like his music projects and his webcam from his work. Like I don't have a professional setup and I really believe in doing things imperfectly rather than not doing them at all. So that is kind of what you're seeing now, but I also feel like that kind of energy is really I don't want to say humble because to talk about how you're being humble is not very humble. But you know what I mean? I feel like when I listen to podcasts, I like to know that they are real people and they're not, they're not, I don't know. Can you audition to be on like a Spotify podcast? I'm sure you can, but this isn't a big production. This is like authentic. That's the right word for it. Authenticity. I hope my authenticity is coming through and just my passion for what I do and what I talk about is coming through because this is not a very professional setup, but we're working with what we got. And honestly, musician boyfriend really, really popping through with this one. Also, he does Twitch streaming. So he already knows how to like record all of this and like set up and for video watchers, yes, this is a different webcam. I'm just trying some things out. I was filming my last episode with a Canon Rebel T3i. Yes, that I think that came out in 2013. But you know what? It's a camera that I have, so I was like really trying to make it work, but it stopped recording every 20 minutes because I guess how it records the video file like to your card. No matter, like, I had a 128 gigabyte card or something like that. So like obviously it's high enough, but yeah, how they translated the file to the card, they couldn't do it fast enough. So like 20-minute video was the max. So it kept going out every 20 minutes. And I hope you can't hear it through the podcast, but I had to like stop, reset up the recording, sit back down, re-put on the audio, and then like re-record. And it was just it. And then it died halfway through because it couldn't even get through 50 minutes of filming. So I only got, I think, like 30 minutes of video. And then I filmed the rest on my like really, really shitty, like built-in webcam that was super grainy. But again, we're working with what we got and we're learning as we go. And that is how it's working around here. So I appreciate whoever's sticking with me, and I hope that the setup grows and that the quality grows as I grow and this podcast grows, and maybe I could even have a nicer setup, but for now I have my pumpkin pillow here and my little fuzzy blanket that my dog really loves. So that's the background we're working with. We're working with cardboard box taped on the window. And I appreciate you for sticking with me. So I did want to talk about, I have like little notes app, what I, just ideas of what to talk about here. Current projects and updates. Obviously, I still have, for my last one, I have my MCR cross stitch that I showed in my last podcast. I've done maybe a little bit on my own on this since last time we talked, but I'm not going to attempt to do it and be on video and talk at the same time because I don't want to go nonverbal on the podcast. That's not cool. So, video watchers, here's what we're working with. If you're not on video, maybe I've posted it on my Instagram by now, but I don't think I usually don't post anything until it's like fully finished. Because I was using my Instagram as like a portfolio before, but maybe I will start posting a little bit, teasing stuff before it's fully finished. So that will probably be up on there at some point if you want to know what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking about also releasing the cross stitch pattern for that since I did design it myself. And it took me a very long time. And I'm really proud of it. Besides that, I've been working on the quilt that I mentioned on my last podcast, which was the Twilight quilt that I designed on my like last day of that really shitty job. Yeah, I've been quilting that and it's been a bitch because quilting's hard and I don't like quilting. And I have like a very, 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 very old, limited function standard sewing machine. And my boyfriend's always like, you should get a new one since this is your like daily hobby and like soon to be your side hustle, like your job. But I also, this is the sewing machine I've had the least issues with because nothing's computerized and it is so basic that I like can take a screwdriver and like do everything myself. So I do have a love for it. I do want to get it fixed because you can't adjust the stitch length. And it also would be really nice to have some computerized elements for sure, or even just like a longer neck on the sewing machine so that I'm able to quilt better. But after I finish all the quilts tops that I already have constructed, I think I might take a break from quilting and make more like quilted clothing or just clothing in general, because that's a skill set I really want to build for myself and like for others and like for my family. And quilting's hard and it's hard to like think about as this potentially becomes more of a business for me. It is really hard to think about continuing to put my effort and money into quilting because the hours versus the payout and like how people value quilts is really not matching, and clothes are such a higher margin with like less materials. And even though I find a lot of inspiration in quilting, and this is something I don't have an answer. I don't have like a a balancing act here at all of like what I don't have an answer. I don't know what to do. I don't know what's right, and I'm kind of just following things as they go. But yeah, quilts are like big ticket items. If I was to price them at like a proper minimum wage for my state or like for my county, and also get paid back for all the materials that I put in, not even counting time that I'm like at the fabric store or like doing research or designing or like any of that, like just actively quilting, sewing, cutting fabric. I mean, quilts would be thousands of dollars. They take so much time, but also every quilt I learn something new. So it is also building my skill set. So I do think there's something to be said about like paying for skills too, if you know what I mean. But yeah, these take me like, I'm coming up on a year on this project. Obviously, not in a year straight, as I said, but it is a big deal. And the margin for that is just not what it's worth, generally, how I see people price their quilts. And I do think people price their quilts based on how they are valued in the greater society, obviously, because that's how things are generally priced. But because I think it's connected to like an elderly lady craft or taken for granted because, and the same thing with like knitting and crocheting and stuff like that, because it's connected to like older women, that society does not value it as an art form either. Or they take it for granted because, yeah, their grandma's going to give them a quilt for Christmas. Meanwhile, that took hours or months or day, like just like such long time spans that if you weren't in the craft, you wouldn't know how long it takes or how much material it takes, finances, time, frustration. Uh, and also, I think it's good to like hit frustration in your projects and be able to push past it. It's kind of like the emotional roller coaster of being on a hike. You know, like I love hiking. It's one of my biggest and favorite hobbies, and also very like connective spiritually with nature, and also like with my family, with my dog and my partner. And I love doing it because it feels really good, and it also feels like you're going on a journey together, and it feels really good in my body. But sometimes I'm doing it and I'm like, why do I like this? Because your thighs are burning, you're sweating, you're hungry, and you're like, I'm maybe kind of miserable. And then you push through that, and maybe there's a peak at the end, or maybe there's a brewery at the end that you're going to, or you get back to your car and you just feel really good and accomplished. And I think that's important for our brains too, as I potentially move more towards building something that is for me and like self sustained, and like this small business. If I grow it and am able to rely on it at any point, it would all be on me. But I still think that it's good to push through achievable barriers, I guess. And maybe some that aren't. Maybe that's also important. But I feel like, I don't know, because kind of the narrative that we see, the only people who get really famous are influencers. And then they're like, you know the joke where it's like, oh, my life's so hard. I had a nail and hair appointment today and like one meeting. And like that feels like a lot. But like I'm sure that does feel like a lot. Like sometimes our capacities are incredibly low, and that is like relatively a lot for them. But it can also feel offensive as you're like scrolling, watching influencers while you're working like 80 hours a week at a minimum wage job and like can't pay rent. Like I get that. Like that's real, right? And I guess there is a worry for me to lose my capacity for hardship as I like transition into a softer way of life and living and finances. Does that make sense? Because like I went from working at a really physically demanding like job after college. I was doing a lot of manual labor as an environmental scientist, which is, hey, that's a secret. They don't tell you about that. They think you think you're going to be in the lab or even like field work. You don't realize how taxing field work can really be when you're doing field work in 110-degree heat wave in like Southern California. That's crazy, girl. They had me out there. Also, I had a fainting issue at that point, and I was like, I'm scared, and I don't like a fainting issue specifically related to fish like physical exertion, like in heat. So when I would hike in really hot weather, I'd start fainting. And not just like once or twice. Like this happened, I would hit my head on rocks. It was a whole like I had to get carried down a mountain. Like it was a whole thing. This is a thing. And they really had me out there doing that, which is crazy. I cannot imagine doing that now. Now that I work like from home for a small company who really like my boss really respects my time and is really concerned for my well-being. Like she actually cares about me because we have uh like 5 employees. Like we really care about each other and we're really genuine about our relationships to each other because that's how the company was built. And I see myself losing some of my capacity, but also with like losing that capacity for, I mean, for lack of a better term, capacity for like bullshit and hardship, like daily, I've been able to get out of like a survival mode a little bit more and like get into a different part of my nervous system and like really actually start healing because I was also in a really, really bad living situation while I was in that job. So getting this new job and living in this house, I really actually feel like I'm starting to heal emotionally, going through it with my therapist. I have a lot of fucking health problems right now that I'm like sorting through because like finally out of survival mode and now I feel like I have to deal with the fallout, which I get and I accept and like that's just where we're at right now. But going forward when I not that healing is ever stopped or a it's not like ever like a 1, 2, 3 step process, right? Like it's kind of an ongoing thing. So not saying like when I'm healed. Like that's not a point in time, but maybe when I feel like more stable. Is that a fair way to put it? Maybe when I feel more stable and comfortable that I like won't have the same capacity that I used to because I already feel like I don't. Like I used to do because my nervous system was so activated all the time. I mean, I would get like 4 hours of sleep in college and I had a band. I'd go out every single night and I was still in engineering school and I had like fucking 2,000 hours of homework and I'd like get like so many people were like, I don't know how you get all of it done. And it was something that I was proud of because I was doing so much at the same time and working like 30 hours a week at a part-time job. Like I was doing so much and like looking back on it, I was miserable and I was really overwhelmed, but I was able I don't think I would even be able to do that now unless it was a true survival situation. But like I don't have the capacity for that anymore because I'm at a different place in my life and I've sat back. I've calmed down a little bit and that feels good and I feel better. But also, I guess I'm more sensitive to everything now because I feel things now instead of just like running and doing the next thing. So it is harder. But I don't know if I'm not as miserable. I don't know. Healing is so weird. And I guess yeah, that's like a fear that I want to let go of as I want to move into a calmer life. I mean like truly I would love to be I don't want to say like a housewife and I also don't want to say like I that in a way that disrespects them because that is also like house labor, domestic labor, emotional labor is also labor and you also don't get to turn it off versus like going to work and coming home being able to turn it off. And also I hear that a lot about small businesses. I'm sure hopefully if everything is growing well with mine, like that's a problem that I'll encounter of being like, "Oh, I don't know when to turn my small business brain off and like live for me." because it has taken a lot of time for me to be able to put up that separation between work and life for me now. Even if I have like a harder, California has like pretty good laws about um like time limits on jobs and like overtime and all of that, but now as like a full-time like salaried employee, it's a little bit different. Um anyway, yeah, just setting up those kinds of boundaries now was really hard. Even just separating my identity from my job or my degree or from school took a lot of work of like, who am I? And like who I was under that was a really creative person. But like, what happens when that then becomes my job? I don't know. But that also feels really exciting. Like, if you see me in the video, I'm like smiling. Like, I can feel the excitement of what that could be. So, I did not plan on talking about this today. I guess I've just been really like interested and really called towards some type of, yeah, just like very, very financial, very business minded recently, which is not that it's not me. I am, at the end of the day, have a Capricorn rising, and I'm actually going into my like I think it's my first house year, like my ascendant year. I'm turning 24 next month, and then Capricorn's going to rule that. Um, so I guess maybe that's, I'm just like spiritually and financially and physically getting ready for that to enter my life, and I'm really excited about it. It does feel really serious though. I guess there's a playfulness that I hope is coming through with my like doing things imperfect and just like, going out there and experimenting and not having a lot of expectation or setting a lot of, I'm setting like small goals for myself, but also like seeing where the journey takes me. And then that's juxtaposed with the like, I guess like anxieties about the future and where this could take me and the seriousness of it, because I hear a lot of small business owners, influencers, people are like, you're romanticizing my life too much and this is what it's really like. But also maybe those are problems I am open to dealing with and want to deal with. I don't know. I think there's a balance between issues and gratitude for sure. But this has really been on my mind recently. And it's been really interesting. And it's also interesting to see where like, because I feel like a lot of people think that finances, I'm going to say the C word, capitalism, and spirituality have to be like very separate things. But to me, they're not, maybe. I've like heard that a lot of like money is just energy and an exchange and it comes in and out. And I've taken some courses recently about, I took money in the nervous system course. And that was really interesting because I thought it was going to be very like, and let it go and just like don't have your attachment to money as much, but it was actually very like practical, like get your shit together energy. Because I think a lot of, I don't know if this is like women or maybe just the women in my class, new age spiritual women generally have like the nervous system that is like back here. I don't really have the right language for it right now, but like more in a, maybe in like a freeze state, or like they don't want to touch it, or like the more like feminine, laid back, sit back energy versus I have a very strong like masculine side, like get shit done side, and I always have. And like I'm actually trying to get that to take a step back. But the class was mainly focused on like, I guess, activating, I don't want to say like activating these women, but like you just hear me out. Just with the words that I wish I could write down on paper and fix and then get back to you with my writer brain, that's what like I wish I could do. We're just being a professional yapper right now. And this is how it's coming out, and like just hear me. Like activating these women's nervous systems to like get them to do something and like get them to do something about it and actually like take accountability, responsibility, and position in their own financial lives. And I feel like I'm really good at that. I actually tend to over control, over budget, over not responsibilitize, but like I assign too many responsibilities to myself, and that includes in the world of money. So I'm trying to find my balance between like money is just energy and it all flows, and having that truth, and also having the truth of like, yes, and we live in not like the real world, but like the physical world, and things need to be controlled to set up a successful future. Lots about money this week. Lots about money this week, which is interesting. Yeah, I just feel like that's coming through more as, they're gonna sell our house. The buyer fell through and now they're not selling it, I guess. But I had the realization of like, I would like more money so that we have less restrictions if we have to find a new place to rent. And like that feels practical, and that doesn't feel greedy, and I want to create that, and I'm willing to work hard for it. So like I applied to part-time jobs, and I'm investing a little bit more in this business, this potential small business, and like really moving forward on that. And like I'm willing to do that because that's where I want to be, and I don't feel like that's greedy. That feels good. Not to promote hustle culture too much, because I'm like, who are you really serving? But hustle culture feels different when you're like trying to build maybe something for yourself, because like my dream is not to work every day. My dream's to, well, that's a big statement to make, actually. Let's pump that brakes. I'm like, let me tell you my life dream. Maybe I don't even know it, and maybe things are just coming through my mouth. um, yeah, I mean, I don't dream of labor. I don't dream of work. I really like taking care of my home. I really like crafting. I really like helping people. I really like sustainability. I don't think that like if I say I was fully financially supported by someone or something, and I didn't have to work, I don't think I would be doing nothing all day. I feel like most people like to do something. I take pride in the things I create and do. And I feel like as I get older, maybe I'll want to teach and like pass that on. Because there's definitely a part of me that wants to, like, I want to sell what I make. And there's also a part of me that wants to be like, and because I know how beneficial this has been for me, I want to teach others how to find that refuge as well in crafting. And whether that's just by like inspiration through looking at my Instagram, you're getting ideas, or selling patterns, or YouTube classes, or in-person classes. I don't know what that's going to look like, but that's like definitely a real part of it too. So yeah, I don't think I would do nothing. I find a lot of joy and pride in, like, I'm always busy. I've been saying that for so long. I'm always busy because I have so much stuff I want to do and so many skills I want to learn, and like I'm just really excited about the newness of a lot of things, I guess. Um and maybe that is undiagnosed ADHD and the monotony of having one single full-time job. Even though I really love my job and I really love my coworkers, I like doing, like, I like having lots of things going on. So to balance that out, I then supplement it with a million projects around the house, including stuff around the kitchen. Like, I decided I want to make wine jelly with all my leftover wine, but it's been so long that I think all my wine is red wine vinegar now in the fridge. Again, I'm finishing my quilt that I started a year ago. Crazy. I have another quilt a quilt top. I actually really love this quilt top. I'm really excited about it. It is the My Chemical Romance quilt top is what I call it, or maybe my mall goth quilt top. It reminds me of like pre-Scene Kid Hot Topic, and I'm not shitting on Scene Kids. We will not be doing that on this channel. Let me tell you that right now. I was a scene kid. That I mean, that's my culture. That's my culture. I was a scene kid, probably still am deep down. Um, yeah, my mall goth quilt. I will hopefully be putting pictures of it in the video so that we all know what I'm talking about. But if you're not watching the video, again, go to my Instagram, Blown Rose Studio, and I'm sure you can pick out which one it is. It has vampire teeth on it. It has coffins. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. I love it. So that one I'm really excited about finishing too. And I am going to quilt it on my home machine. And then after that, I might take a break. I have thought about long arming. I have thought about different ways to finish these things. Um, just to really get them done, and because it's been such like a frozen thing on that project, just unable to get that one done. Just, I mean, we are moving. There's a lot of different roadblocks, but I'm committed to finishing it now. Very excited to finish it. I decided to finish it on my own home quilt machine, and a big thing that's helped me, spray basting. I know people talk shit about it. I know we don't all love spray basting. It is expensive. And guess what? I would not, and I've spent so much time pinning and like, like pin basting quilts, like with the quilting safety pins. And I'm willing to do that sometimes, but just like with how much, I guess, like friction I'm getting trying to finish these projects. And also with the pin basting, just because I have to pin baste it on a table, so I can only do like parts of it at a time. I noticed that I'm getting a lot of tucks related to it, and then I'll have to undo that all and then spray baste it all to get it like the best possible outcome. So, boo, not fun. So I've just been spray basting. That's been like my way of like, okay, this is my compromise. I'm gonna spray baste, and I'm gonna spend that money, and that's gonna help me get it done. And I think that's worth it because I'm feeling that energy of like just finishing what I started and like keeping the ball rolling because I don't want to get stuck in a frozen state. And I'm hoping to take that energy with me into winter as well. I'm really excited for winter crafting time and being cozy. Also for fall, because it's not fall yet, because it's fucking 90 degrees outside, and that doesn't count, and I want to redo. I know I have a pumpkin pillow. It's on the other side. I know I have a pumpkin pillow. It doesn't really mean it's fall though. And I was really excited. I cannot wait for the first rain. I love rain. I am from a rainy place. I lived in Washington. I really love rain. Not that much rain. Washington was too much. Thank you very much. But I really, really love rain. And I'm very excited for it to start raining. I love a rainy day. I'll take a rainy day any day. A lot of days. It's so cozy. And it's such good weather for crafting because I almost feel like it's an excuse. Not that you need one, but for me, because I like to do a million things at the same time when there's a nice day out. And this is something that living in Seattle taught me. If there is a nice sunny day out, I feel like I can't waste it. I feel like I have to go. And I have to do something, and I have to go to the beach, or I have to go to the river, or I have to go hiking. Or I just have to like go and bask out in the sun like at a park. Park culture. Like that was real. Like my college campus, those brochures where they had their like multicultural group of friends hanging out on the grass. That was actually real in Seattle, let me tell you, because we had 3 sunny days during the school year. So we would set up our blankets. And there's like the ocean's really far. I know we have like the sound up there. But, in between classes when you can't get to the beach or you can't get to the river or the lake or whatever, we would be laying out on the grass like a brochure. Because that's what you did. Because we needed to soak in, we really needed to soak in that sun. And it was great. And I kind of miss that culture here because there's so much beautiful nature that like, and there's like the beach here where I'm living, that park culture is not the same. And I love the beach, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I want to like lay in grass and have like uninterrupted grass reading laying time. But because like you can get that at the beach. Like you can go to the beach and like lay down and read, and people know not to bug you. But like for some reason, that park culture is not here. There's also not a lot of big parks. Like think like Dolores Park in is that what it's called in San Francisco? I just went there the other day. Like in the Mission, and then like Cal Anderson in Seattle. Or I really miss Volunteer Park in Seattle. I was thinking about that the other day. I think that's the one with is it Bruce Lee's grave? I'm gonna feel stupid if I'm wrong. But yeah, there was like the Arboretum at Volunteer Park and like children's play stuff and like there's a whole art museum in there. Like it's a really, really gorgeous park that I really loved to walk in the snow. Just been reminiscing on that a lot and missing like city park culture a lot, I guess. Because when you're in the city and not necessarily in like a beach, like truly, not just like a beach city, like I don't think LA is a beach city. I think parts of it maybe are, like maybe if you're in Venice, but like you don't get, like I'm talking like on like Waikiki, like that, you don't have parks in Waikiki. Well, actually, you do. You do. There's really good. Actually, there's some good parks in Waikiki, like by the zoo. I used to hang out there all the time. Maybe park culture is just not a thing when you're not in like an extremely huge populated place. Maybe they're like, I don't know, do that in your backyard. But my backyard's not that big because we're still young. We're making it. But I miss park culture. And yeah, I just remember like early fall, which is like late, early, mid, late, maybe just the entire month then at that point of like September in Washington is just so beautiful. And like park culture before the rains in Washington. I'm really feeling nostalgic about that right now and missing that and wanting a little bit of that here, but it is climbing in here. It has now reached 85 degrees in my house. I mean, we don't have central AC. That's not like a thing here. So I will have to be putting on some fans. Honestly, proud of myself for still filming and talking because I've noticed my mood being a little bit kind of irritated all week because it's been hot and it's been like really hard to work and to focus and to just like do everyday stuff, you know? Just because it makes it harder when it's blazing hot and you don't have AC. So it hasn't been fun. It's been like very much so, flipping my life on its head, having to go for dog walks at like 6:30, 7 in the morning is a lot. But obviously willing to do it so that she gets her energy out with her high drive breeds. For video watchers, we're drinking out of the Kuromi cup today. I guess also not for video watchers because you just heard me describe it. We're drinking cold green tea out of the Kuromi cup. My lovely, lovely partner indirectly broke my other Kuromi cup that I bought for myself in like February, and I like loved. I had like a weird attachment to the cup, and like got really excited every time I got to use it, and then it broke, and I was genuinely sad. Like so sad, and I know it's not a big deal because it's just a cup, but like it meant, I don't know why I loved it so much, and it like meant so much to me. So he ordered this one online and bought it for me, and I got to open the package and be really excited that I had a replacement because they didn't sell the old cup I used to have anymore. Because did I go into Hot Topic as a full grown adult and buy some Kuromi merch? Yes. And I would do it again. I truly did not talk about anything I wrote down. But I think I like that better. I think that's actually more exciting. Because I was worried about filming this podcast. I was like, do I have enough to talk about? As if I don't yap. I think I'll leave it there. I don't really have an outro segment yet. So let me just like hit you with a few things. My Instagram for crafting and things is Blown Rose Studio. Through that, I have my personal tagged if you're interested in that for any reason. The YouTube channel for this will also be Blown Rose Studio, I believe. I believe I'm going to be posting all the podcast episodes on that with the video if you're ever interested in watching the video. Not that it's insanely necessary. I really don't like when people film podcasts and then they're like, oh, well, you should watch, like, you need to be watching the video to understand what's going on here. I never want to be like that. So if I am, please call me out because I think it's so annoying. Because if I wanted to watch a YouTube video, I'd watch a fucking YouTube video and not listen to a podcast. Because podcasts have just become like unedited YouTube videos, which I don't want to like create. So yeah, I think that's all I have. I don't think I have anything else to plug. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been, if I keep the name, Crafts and Covens, which is a podcast by Blown Rose Studio, which is me. But I like having some degree of separation from my actual name for some reason. Couldn't tell you why. Just feels good. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you.